Welcome to the Venus and Mars Show, and we are once again so happy to have you here with us. I'm Peter, also known as Mars.
And I'm Ann, also known as Venus.
In this segment, we will be talking about something all of us can identify with and witness on a daily basis. The stunts people pull on our roads and highways.
We also have Steve Sweeney with us as our guest, and he will be sharing with us his amazing career as a singer and a songwriter.
And as always, we wrap up with a special community acknowledgement. Okay, we all see it, we see it on a daily basis. The stunts people pull on the roads. I think we all know what I mean by this. And, you know, is it arrogance? Is it ignorance? Or is it just one of those things, it's all about me? Because people don't seem to care about others on the many things that they do in an automobile. Now, signals. I'm going to start off with signal use because I think this is the one that the majority of people are actually guilty of. I would estimate, in just my own, observations, that 70% don't seem to use them. Now, what do you think's up with that? Why do you think people they're driving these 2-ton missiles and they don't want to tell anybody what their intentions are? What's that all about? I mean,
it's a combination of all the three things that you just mentioned. The ignorance, the arrogance, yes, and the I don't care.
Yeah, of course you get that person that will pull up to a red light, 2 lanes, and they're in the left, and of course they don't tell anybody that they're signaling, but then when they enter the intersection, when they're stopped, they put their signal on and they've stopped a row of, like, who knows how many cars that would have went into the other lane. All right, well, that's signals. How about backing up on highways?
Oh, Lord.
I have witnessed that many times, and the last one I seem to recall was I would have to estimate 200 feet backing up on the highway because they missed an exit.
Can't you get written up for that?
Oh, certainly, but let's say you got in a horrific accident because of that. What would you do, again, to change that by going down to just spending the 5 minutes going down the next exit and doing the right thing?
Some people are very strange on the road and they panic. They do panic.
Well, I think so far, I think the audience can identify with some of these things because I know I have been driving on the highway for 17 years and at least probably 300,000 miles, so I speak from experience. It's not something I've never been on, but I witness this stuff every day. In fact, they're so numerous, I can't remember them all. I'm just talking in general what people do. How about blowing through red lights? And what I mean is they know they're blowing through a red light, not somebody that just drifts through it, but somebody that you can tell they gunned through that. What's up with that?
The rules don't apply to me.
Yeah, but there's a green going on at the same time.
Well,
I've seen people have, yeah.
They get away with it for so long. It's the greed. And it isn't until you get caught with a nasty accident and put a lot of other people out that you're going to learn a lesson.
Here's one that really, really bothers me because it happens to me a lot, and it's tailgating. Now, tailgating, I happen to drive down a street called South Street in Bridgewater, and it's a 3-mile street, and I'll be in a section of it where there's nobody behind me. It's like 10 o'clock at night, and I see that those headlights appear, which look like they're about 0.2 of a mile away, and then they slowly get closer to me until they're right up to me. Now, I'm not going below the speed limit. I usually go a couple of miles over the speed limit. But the point is that I realized that we were the only cars going the whole way. Why can't somebody like that give you 3 or 4 or 5 car lengths? What if something runs in the road? He's going to end up in my back seat. So what's up with that?
He's in a hurry.
What is that? It never works. I don't go any faster. I never go faster.
But they don't know that you're aggravated either.
Oh, well, they should be because I can't see their headlights practically.
They don't know that. That's something that they do all the time.
All right, next. Excessive lane changing on the highway and going nowhere, if you know what I'm getting at. Highway's packed.
Yeah.
Highway's packed, 3 lanes, whatever. They're threading the needle.
Yeah.
And they're right behind somebody. And then they go into the 2 lanes.
Why? Because the lane isn't moving that they're in?
Well, yeah, but they're
and
not,
they think
but they can't see ahead of time. What are they trying to accomplish? All they're doing is risking lives.
Not in their book.
All right. I said tailgating aggravated, but this is the one that aggravates me the most. It is not yielding for oncoming traffic. And what I mean by that is cars are coming down and there's a truck blocking the lane, because it's a work truck, utility truck doing work. And it's in their lane, and what they do is they don't even bother looking, even though there's a row of cars coming. And I just witnessed this recently, that they forced a car off the road onto the ground. They're over on the other side of the road. They just don't seem to get it, that they have to yield, they have to stop. I'm talking about when there's not a cop there.
Yeah.
No, cops are usually doing their thing, but when there's not a
they're
cop,
supposed to be
they have,
details at those.
So that one, it's like I don't think they were ever even taught. How about straddling the
Love that.
straddling the middle line, where the yellow double line is underneath the middle of their vehicle? What's that all about?
Well, they're looking at a phone or obviously distracted.
No, I think it's some sort of thing about that it won't ruin their tire balance or something like that, because the road is, whatever it is. But the point is, it's illegal what they're doing. Okay? How about lane drifting? Cars are in there and, you see them drifting. Now, I think we know what that's indicative of.
Tell me what you think.
Sometimes they come actually into your lane, one whole tires, the tires are entirely in your, and then they...
And you don't think they're distracted?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It's texting. It's texting, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Another one is, and I noticed this is at stop signs where there's two lanes and they're going to merge into one, usually about, I don't know, a couple of 100 feet up. You'll see the epitome of adolescence behind the wheel here. It's not, is people try to speed and outdo each other to get in front of each other in the one lane.
Yeah.
I honestly don't understand what the mindset of that is. Well, I mean...
Maybe they weren't taught in driver's ed. It's 1 and 1.
Yeah, well, the interleaving thing that goes on.
Yeah.
Well, we did talk about texting and cell phones. That's something that was not part of in our society 2 decades ago. But now it has a... It's prominent now. The problems are prominent with that. So they're not really causing stunts. The only thing they're doing is taking the person out of aware of what they're doing, I guess. They're kind of like in a space by themselves, driving these two-ton vehicles 88 feet a second, which is only 60 miles an hour. So if they're going 80 miles an hour, they're going 128 feet a second. 1 split second is all it takes.
They're not going to stop until that 1 split second happens.
Well, I believe that all these things, I am looking for somebody to explain to me what is going on in their heads when they do these things, because I honestly don't understand, and I don't do those things.
Okay.
I'm not guilty of any of them. I may check my email or something, right?
Okay,
yeah,
there it is.
See, I know.
There it
is.
is.
Yeah, no, but
guilty.
Yeah, but as far as the aggressive moves and the illegal things and illegal stunts that people, and I call them stunts because what other word would you call it?
They don't see it as a stunt.
Well,
you see it as a stunt.
Yeah.
It's all in the perception.
Mm.
They see it as them getting to wherever they're going in their time, and it's got to be quickly.
Yeah. Well, the last one I have is the people coming off ramps onto the highway. Now, I've had this discussion with people. It wasn't that long ago where it was common sense that the person coming on the line, coming onto the highway would yield. They seem to be going 70, 80 miles an hour off the ramp, bent on getting in front of you. I mean, I've been neck and neck with somebody because I get cars behind me too, and they're trying. It's like, they're running out of a lane and they're trying. I don't understand that one.
Yeah.
So, well, anyway, so much for stunts on the highways and roads. I don't. The sad thing is, it seems like it'll never stop, and the texting and the cell phones are now in our mix.
Well, I know from working with local law enforcement that they are now going a step further to try to curb some of that behavior?
Well, I guess it's something that will always be with us, and it's really just a small percentage of people who commit most of these offenses, but they really do stand out, okay? Okay, enough scratching our heads. When we come back, we'll hear from Steve Sweeney, who will share with us his singing and songwriting.
Hi, Steve Sweeney is here with us tonight.
Hey guys.
Hey, welcome to the show, Steve. Good to have you here.
Thank you very much. Great to be here.
We're going to take some time and we're going to get all caught up from when Steve was younger and when you started singing all the way up until today.
The whole thing, so we're taking it way back.
And I don't want people to get confused that there's another Steve Sweeney. Obviously, you know about him in Massachusetts.
The comedian.
But yeah, he's the funny man, you're the singer.
Well,
they'll know the difference
I'm a
in
little
photos.
funny too, but no.
Yeah, I think John J. Fahey got the two of you mixed up.
Yeah,
Oh, no.
he did.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I said I'm not the comedian.
Right.
And I made a joke about it.
Right.
Something like that, yeah.
So I just want to take one other second and introduce another guest that we have here tonight.
Oh
with us.
yes, we have a special guest
We
all the way
do.
from San Jose, California.
It's Flat Stanley.
Yes.
Flat Stanley.
Yeah.
Yes, young Lily has sent Flat Stanley on his way to Massachusetts from San Jose, California.
Oh, that is so awesome.
That's cool.
Well,
it was
welcome.
from, I should have remembered this, Mrs. Sullivan's class, 2nd grade.
So what's the story with Flat Stanley?
Flat Stanley is obviously a cartoon character that 2nd graders do. They cut him out, they color him and make him the way that they perceive Flat Stanley should be. He gets put into this protective cover because he's going on vacation. He goes all around the world. So, such as Lily, in the 2nd grade, she has to take that and mail it off to family or relatives so that he goes on a trip, and it has to give a story. Like Flat Stanley showed up on the Venus and Mars show here in
Plymouth,
Massachusetts.
Wow.
And
The land of the pilgrims.
Yes, and he was actually featured on the show. So she'll be able to YouTube this show for her classmates and tell all about his visit.
That's great.
Isn't it cool?
Hello to
That's
the
so
class in
So
San Jose, California.
After he's done with us,
Hello, guys.
he'll go back
Mrs. Sullivan's class.
to Lily's grandmother, who works here on production, and
Yes.
she will then forward him on to his next trip on his vacation.
Where does he go next? Do we know?
I don't know. Lily's going to have to keep in touch with us. That's all I know. She's
let
going to
us
have to
know.
tell us, where he's off to
Awesome.
next.
Good stuff.
Yeah. So
Flat
hang in
Stanley in the universe. He's in the universe right now. Perfect.
So getting back to you, Steve.
Okay.
Because Flat Stanley doesn't have a whole lot to say, so I don't want him to bore the audience, you know.
Pretty quiet chap.
Yeah, he's pretty quiet.
Well, singing. We're going to talk about your singing. Right now, you do mostly country, but it has a different kind of twist to it. And I want you to tell me.
It does. It's really country. But it also has a lot of R&B in it, some soul, some rock and roll. So I think we touched a lot on all genres of music. There's some funk in it, some real like 70s type vibes. They're in
Wild Cherry.
Yeah, so there's some cool stuff, all live, instrumentation. So it's pretty eclectic. You know, it's not right down the middle country, even though there's definitely country in it.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of different flavors on this record.
Do you like one genre better than the other?
No, not necessarily. You know, I like certain parts of each, like when I'm creating music or tracks or writing songs, I like to take certain melodies from different genres. I like classic rock. I like those type of melodies when it comes to the hooks. And then when it comes into like the verses, I like to jump into more of the like the R&B type melodies. So trying to mesh all those together.
Yeah.
You know, a good example would be, you know, maybe somebody, well, not even, that isn't a great example. I don't even know if there's really an example out there.
Right,
an artist
that
right
mix.
now. You know, it's just, I think it's, with that whole mix, it's really our sound, you know, and my sound.
So is there a reason that you decided to make country the one that stands out more out of all of that?
Yeah, country, because I feel with country, you can tell a whole story, you know, where pop music, it's a little more shut down, you know, lyrically. You know, it's the beats drive the pop music, I think, a little bit more, where country music is more of a storytelling platform. If that makes sense?
Steve, you're a Yankee, right?
Yes.
You agree you're a Yankee?
Yes.
Now, I'm not too smart on this. I'm just asking a question. Is there anything different from writing and presenting country music from a northern state? Because usually I associate country music always with, even the states they mention in their songs, it's always down south, if you ever noticed.
Yeah, it's interesting.
And I'm just curious, is there any difference, or is this basically the same? When I mean the same, I don't mean that in a bad way. I mean, it's
yeah, no, it's a great question. You know, again, the reason that I got back into what I'm doing, obviously you know where I started and you know where it's ended up. And again, taking all those different vibes and back, and I'm going to answer the question that you just asked. Country has come a long way. You know, if you look at country, it's not like your
hee-haw?
Yeah, right, yeah. It's not your real, you know, the twangy country, you know, Dolly Parton, that old school type country.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's grown. I mean, right now, it's really pop infused. A lot of it, you know, there are some, you know, there's some examples out there. Sam Hunt, for example, Thomas Rhett. You know, you look at some of these guys, and they're definitely bringing more of that, those melodic pop melodies into country music. So, I think it's beyond the South.
Yeah,
now.
you're saying it's not stamped with
It's
just the
not
South.
stamped
Yeah,
anymore,
at all.
where you're right. Back
Right.
then it was. You know, that old school country was the old school country,
Yeah.
and it was exactly that. You know, it didn't move out of there. So that's a dynamite.
Yeah, because I think the only
question.
state I ever heard mentioned, New England state, you know, is always Maine, Bangor, Maine, or something. You'll never hear Massachusetts. ever.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Well, I know all the kids in high school listening to more of country now. It
Yeah.
seems to be a popular station.
My daughter loves it. That's her
See?
number one. She goes to
See?
concerts all the time with that.
Because I think, again, you know, with some, like even like rock and roll, you know, the Google Dolls and bands like that. I mean, that whole genre of music is sort of, it's gone.
Yeah.
You know, it's definitely been neglected. You don't see or hear much of that anymore.
Well, not to
Yeah.
get off the truck, real quick. You ever hear the Poussat Dart Band?
No.
Have you? You know,
Of
Amnesia.
course,
You know the
yes.
song Amnesia?
Yes.
They're from Massachusetts. Yet
Oh.
I would have sworn they were from down Louisiana or anything. They had
Right.
it was a total reverse. Anyway.
And, you know, again, I think when you're making music, that was one thing that I said. I said, I'm not going to get stuck in, this is what I do. You know, I'm
Yeah.
country, or I'm rock and roll, or I just took everything throughout the years, you know, just being in all these, you know, different, listening to all this different stuff, and I said, you know what, I sort of like that, I like that, I like that. Let's take that, let's put this with this. You know, we've done some really funky stuff on the record where we take it, you know, we call it the push and pull on the percussion. When we take the melody and we slip a little bit behind or a little bit in front of it, which is really, really cool. And somebody that we just met yesterday picked right up on that. They were like, wow, that's so awesome. Because there's a couple bands back in the day that would do stuff like that. They would literally
Yeah.
like drop, like for instrumentation, they would take chains and drop chains on the ground and get
Yeah.
that sound and record that sound. So it was really, for me, it was all about making sure that we made a record that would appeal to everybody. You
Yeah.
know, that's what really what I wanted to
Unbelievable the
accomplish.
detail that goes into it.
Oh yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
That's stuff that the normal average listener would not be aware of unless you
Right.
just brought it to their attention. So
Yeah.
when did you start singing? Like what age?
I started young. I was really young. Oh, maybe 5, 6 years old.
Anybody else in the family have this talent?
So my grandmother, she would sing.
Yeah.
She would sing to us all the time. Yeah, there was some-
Formal training? Or?
No formal training. No. My father would sing.
Wow.
My brother would try to sing, but that didn't work out real.
He must be
well for
bummed.
him. I'm only kidding. No, I'm teasing.
So they made you perform all the time?
All the time.
All the
yeah,
time.
every card game that was played at my grandmother's house, I was up there performing something, whether I liked it or didn't like it.
That was a great experience, though.
Oh yeah. After a while, it was just like, you know, you'd try to run into the kitchen, hey, Nan, hey, you know,
Yeah.
and they'd be like, oh, wait a minute. You're like,
Oh,
ah,
I thought I
goodness,
got
here
away
we go.
with it that time.
But it was great. It was
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
I wouldn't,
How many
looking
brothers
back
and
at,
sisters?
I've got 1, 2, 3, 5.
Oh yeah, that's a big family.
Yeah, big family.
Big
Yep.
families. So you guys originally from Dorchester?
From Dorchester, yeah.
Okay. And
Yeah.
what parish?
St. Brendan's.
There you go.
Yep.
Yeah, and then you ventured out to the South Shore after that? On your
Yeah.
own, or did your parents stay?
Well, we bounced around a lot, you know, as kids.
Yeah.
From Dorchester to, you know, different parts of the South Shore and then back to Dorchester. So, yeah, I bounced around quite a bit.
So high school, did you do any performing, get with a band?
No. Well, actually, yes. Yes, I did. So I'm trying to remember. I'm trying to figure out these timelines. So I took some time away as a teenager, probably from like 12 to 15 years old. And then the New Kids on the Block came out. And I was living with, or Bobo was living, Robert Wahlberg.
Oh, yeah.
He was living with me. So I
Dorchester,
remember,
too.
yeah. So I'm, you know, obviously friends with Bobo. And I remember Donnie and Danny coming over to our place where we lived and playing Hangin' Tough. And right there, I said, geez, you know what? I got to do this again.
Yeah.
I got to do it,
It made
you
you
know.
want
And
it.
they have, you know, they were great. I mean, obviously, look at them. They were great.
I
So,
know.
people can say whatever, but they're unbelievable.
It just wasn't meant to be. You're
Yeah.
meant to be on your own then.
Yeah.
So then you took a break. You kind of went through the grow-up phase, had your family, stayed away from doing the fun stuff, if you will, while
Yeah.
you had to go do work and support. So now you're back into it.
Right.
And what's that? What was the driving force behind it, and what's it like for you today?
Yeah, it's amazing. It really is. I don't think I could be at a better spot right now. It's funny how life works, you know. I had my situation, so, you know, back then when we were I was in a couple boy bands, and then I was on my own, and then I had a record deal, and then we almost had a couple record deals, and, you know, just the whole business, and
That had to be disappointing.
yeah, so, you know, after a while it was, you know, and I was getting older, obviously, and I just had to sort of put a stop to that for a minute, you know, and I started having a family.
Yep.
Got married, had a family, and that was my focus, you know, was make sure that I could, you know, raise my family. Started my own business in the same time,
Yeah.
and then now my kids are older, and, you know, now it's, I just said, you know, I'm going to go back out and I want to write one more song. That's all I said.
And what song
I said
was
one
that?
more song. So it actually started with a song called Gone, which I wrote for my grandfather. And it went from there to, so when I wrote that song, it was my first back at, you know, going back into the writing. And it was a great experience to do it.
Yeah.
But it was really emotionally charged.
I know. 'Cause I could feel that emotion when I heard that song
Yeah.
for the first time.
Okay, yeah.
It was just unbelievable. And the fact that you wrote it, you sang it, you didn't produce it.
Did not produce it. The production came from a producer.
Okay, but
but-
it was still your own experience.
Oh yeah, it was all
That's a
about
home
me.
run.
Yeah. So when I did that, you know, sort of testing the waters to get back into more of the writing. Because it's easy to get, you know, a full song from somebody. You can get a track, and then you get the lyrics, and you get the melodies, and, you know, you go in the studio and you sing it. You know, that's pretty, you know, it's not easy. I'm not going to say that it's easy. It's still
No.
work, but at
Right.
the same time, it's less work, right? Because you didn't sit down. So my thing was I wanted to write about all my, you know, my experiences, or if they weren't necessarily me, I wanted to be able to write it and really put my name on it, you know, and my stamp and my personality and the way that I would just, you know, tell the story on that record. So it started with that song, and then it went into a song called Coming Home, and that's really when I found what I wanted to do. And what I mean by that is, from writing Gone, I learned, oh, geez, you know what, if I took and I did this just a little bit different, then maybe I sort of came up with my recipes of how to put it all together, you know, from the pre-bridge, the bridge parts to the choruses, to the you know, from the verses. So I watched all of that, and I really focused on that, and yeah, I wrote Coming Home, and then it went, now we're on, tomorrow we finish out the record completely, put the finishing touches on them, Yeah.
I mean, you've already been on the radio now, country stations here.
Country stations locally, correct.
You're hoping to take that nationally, I hope.
Yeah, I can't talk about that right now.
You know what, I just
Yep.
feel like that's something that you need to do anyway. That's
Yeah.
my own opinion.
Yep.
And would love to see that from you. And if people want to follow you, I know that you're on my Facebook. And people can find you by Steve Sweeney on Facebook. Is there another way you'd like for them to follow
Instagram.
you? Instagram
Yep,
too?
Steve Sweeney Music on Instagram.
Yeah, and
But
don't get them confused.
Don't, yeah,
Steve
the comedian,
Sweeney.
right.
There's no
On
middle
Instagram.
initial, and there's just, you know, no.
But we are talking to, we're talking to some people now, and, things are going really well. So.
I wish you the best and the
Oh,
best of
yeah.
luck. You have a big fan here. I love
Thank
your
you.
music.
As I
Thank
do,
you.
Steve. I've
Thank
heard
you
your
very
music.
much.
It's wonderful. Keep it up.
Thanks.
Great work.
Thank you.
Steve Sweeney, wow.
Yeah, he was very, very impressive.
Great guest. You said it. And if you'd like to follow Steve, you can do so by going onto my Facebook page. You'll find him under Steve Sweeney, music, singer, songwriter, out of Hanover, Mass.
And now, we would like to close out our show with a special appreciation of something very positive from our community. Ann?
Well, tonight we're going to present the first segment of Breaking Down the Massachusetts Environmental Police. Recently, I had the pleasure of sitting down with Lieutenant James Cullen, a wonderful, very seasoned environmental police officer with many years of experience. He was referred to me by Major Pat Moran, who is also an exceptionally seasoned leader in this agency. I spent a great deal of time obtaining information from Lieutenant Cullen in the areas of learning about the agency, how it works, and what it does. Over the next several episodes, we'll be breaking this agency down for the public and its citizens who may not be aware of its existence and how it combines its intelligence and resources with local law enforcement. Today, we present the Massachusetts Environmental Police Department. A lot of citizens are not aware that there is an environmental police agency that handles not only this area, but also surrounding areas.
This segment will not only make the public aware of this agency, but it is also meant to outline its capabilities and its jurisdictions.
In order for the public not to be confused on reasons to call this agency versus the calls that should go to local law enforcement, here's a brief outline of some that should be called directly to them.
Any complaints in regards to illegal hunting or fishing practices, either commercial or recreational.
Any complaints of boats and/or watercraft being operated illegally or in a negligent manner.
Anyone who wishes to report illegal off-road vehicle operations or trespassing, such as illegal operation of dirt bikes, ATVs, or snowmobiles.
Anyone who needs to report a boat accident of any kind.
Anyone who needs to report an off-road vehicle, such as a dirt bike, an ATV, or snowmobile accident.
Anyone who wants to report a hunting accident.
Anyone who wants to report the illegal or suspect purchase, sale, trade of wildlife and/or wildlife parts.
Anyone who wants to report information about illegal use, disposal of hazardous, toxic materials.
Anyone wishing to report large animals, such as bear and moose conflicts.
Anyone wishing to report theft of a boat, motorboat, or off-road vehicle.
In addition, many times people will call to get clarification on regulations or laws or specific information on a particular geographic area. The dispatcher will then put them in contact with an officer from the area they have questions about, or will defer any questions they cannot answer to a field officer.
If you or anyone else wants to call and report any of those items we've mentioned, the number to call is 1-800-632-8075. Again, it's 1-800-632-8075.
Well, that wraps it up.
Good night, God bless, and have wonderful happenings in your lives.
Until next time, where planets align and, well, often collide. I'm Peter.
And I'm Ann.
Thanks for joining us.